There you go.
There you go. So, well, hi everyone, good afternoon. Today we're going to do a little talk about providing feedback, which is, I think it's very useful due to the times that we're living in right now. So, basically, Daniel and I just work on this. It's like a little manual, like a little recipe that we just got together from different sources as this slide or diagram in Lucid is showing. So Daniel took out some information out of YouTube videos, or books that he's been reading or has read before, tech talks, LinkedIn articles, and also, a bunch of articles that are out there in the internet about providing feedback. So we just got together this recipe, as I said, and you will get a bunch of different steps there, and that you will use with your teams, or you can share with with your other directs or peers, in order to provide good feedback for this process that we're living in. So maybe we can start on it for doing this. Thank you all for taking the time to attend this.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. And by the way, we'll make the links and the whole
Abel. Yeah.
presentation available. Plus, this recording will also be shared. So you can also share it with team members that couldn't join today, or have it as reference for future performance evaluations, or just for evaluations in general. All right. So practically today's objective is to help you out to fill out your comment section. So we put a couple of movie quotes. If you only do what you can do, you'll never be better than what you are. Kung Fu Panda. So what will you take from this session? And this is, I think, super important, is that at the end you will be you will be an expert filling in the comments of the performance evaluation. So it's pretty simple. You all know our performance evaluation in Me Coach or My Coach just started, and you have to fill in your self-evaluation and your peer evaluation. And when you see these empty boxes, it's kind of daunting, stressful, maybe. And um, I've been around in the company for a couple of years, and I've seen very basic comments or very advanced comments. So the idea is to provide you with simple tools that will help you provide an advanced um, answer. All right. So go ahead, Rogelio.
So the next one, the next topic. So why is feedback hard? I mean, why it takes us some time to think about when we're about to give feedback to someone. Uh, it's because it implies several factors, right? The first one is that it involves speaking our minds. And after we speak our minds, we have to own what we just said or what we just wrote, right? So that's something that we must be aware of. And sometimes we might hesitate to write or not write something, because at the end we have to own that, right? We have to provide enough details about our opinion. And sometimes that's when mixing our feelings and our memory, our brain, start battling each other, start fighting each other. And that's when we want to provide some details to someone that we have maybe like a good personal relationship, right? But on the professional side, uh, we know that there are some areas that that person must improve, but we are kind of fighting there with our feelings and our brain, in order to provide the exact feedback that that person requires in order to improve their personal their personal work performance. So that is why I think it's really it is hard giving feedback, of course, but this hopefully by the end of this session, you will get some tools, some useful tools to do that. And as with everything, I mean, everything will become easier as we practice and practice and practice more. So, and next.
So practically, the question is why feedback? Why do we need feedback? And in- just in practice, is humans are very bad at seeing their own blind spots. Feedback is all about them. Quoting here, John, you don't know nothing, right? Jon Snow. So when does feedback exist? When relationships exist. There is no feedback alone on an island. Well, almost no feedback. Um, but yeah, this is super important. And this comes from the book mentioned at the beginning. Feedback only exists when there's a relationship because there are different perspectives. And that's where you'll see those blind spots starting to appear that human beings are very bad at identifying. And well, why is feedback important? Good feedback motivates our colleagues to achieve greater things. After receiving feedback, people will come up with new ideas on how or solutions to their blind spots. And it's also motivating for performance improvement. And this is also something interesting. How many types of feedback exist? And the amount is just three, according to the book. And they're practically three. And this is super important that you take into account because we tend to mix them when we're trying to give feedback. And what we're the purpose of the performance evaluation is to only use evaluation feedback, not the other two. And splitting them up, even when you write it down, helps the other person a lot to digest and to act upon your feedback. So appreciation is, yeah, just saying, very good, Daniel-san, or saying just thank you, or hey, we appreciate your work, you did good. It kind of fulfills or fills our emotions. It makes us feel good. And yeah, it is positive. But sometimes just giving appreciation doesn't give you a clue what to do next. You feel good, but there's no action. Evaluation is practically a picture of what's happening. So you too much TV, right? You're watching too much TV, Daniel-san. You're not doing stuff. That's the perspective that someone is giving. And it's not even positive or negative. It's just stating the facts. And normally it is, here is where you stand. Now, interesting is that there's a third type of feedback called coaching. And coaching is practically giving you advice. Don't forget to breathe, very important. Or here is a better way to do things, to act upon your blind spots. Now, it's interesting that normally evaluation sometimes gets mixed or comes together with coaching. And practically there's no coaching if there's no evaluation. So there's a dependency.
Could you please scroll up, Daniel, just a little bit? There. Why is feedback important? I was reading out of all the different articles that we were reading to assemble this guide. The third sticky note there, it's a motivator for performance improvement. I read that there was an like a study there. I couldn't find it. I looked for it, and that it was providing feedback to your peers or to our peers was just as important as receiving feedback from your manager, for example. That was a great motivator, like peer pressure, right? But in a good way, in a good sense, right? So whenever you provide feedback to a teammate, to a team member, to a colleague, that will motivate them most of the time due to this study, as much as receiving good feedback or whatever feedback, but when that feedback is coming from their manager. So there was like almost 50-50 it said, but just couldn't find exactly the link to that study. But I read that. So and I do believe that. I mean, because it is like I said, I mean, it is the peer pressure. I mean, the you're pulling everyone, or someone is pulling you, right, in the good way, in the right direction. So yeah, just wanted to make that comment there on this slide. And well, talking about self-evaluation, as Danny mentioned on the previous slide, I mean, it might be something natural for us, that maybe something that we don't see our opportunity areas really quick, right? So it is easier, or it is easier when someone else's points them out. So in order to provide or in order to complete a good self-assessment for this performance review process, that there are some here are some tricks. For example, we have a tool, right, which is Me Coach, and Me Coach gives you these straightforward suggestions. Just provide an overview of the assessment. Just provide a high level context of the work that you have done during this period, during the period that you're assessing. And then you just list your biggest achievements, or you just highlight your biggest achievements. And then you just list your the areas that you have to develop, something that you do know that you have to work more in order to improve that area. And that's it. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, and it's a very good suggestion that my coach provides us there. And also, in order to provide a good self-assessment, we can follow up, or we can use the following questions. Where am I at? What is important to me? And am I happy with my results in the past 6 months? Where do I want to be in 6 months? What do I want to do about it? So there we are doing or providing as well. If we have to map it, or if we can map it to the previous suggestions, where am I at is like providing the overview, right, of the context. And then what is important to me, it is also, well, kind of part of the assessment as well, of the overview, the results, where you're highlighting your achievements. And yeah, and then where do I want to be in 6 months? I mean, it's something that if I want to be at a certain point, a different point, then I have to develop or to improve in some other areas, right? So I think we can do that by following the suggestions from a coach, but we can provide more details following these questions that I just read. So following there are some examples there of like of a good self-evaluation. And do you want me to read them out? I think so. Basically, we're gonna read them and try to map it as well to the different sections or questions that we just mentioned. So this journey has been really challenging for me. Being in a high performance testing team and with many releases had taught me to quickly adapt and constantly be curious and resolve my doubts. This has pushed me out of my comfort zone. From that first paragraph, we are just assessing that we're providing some context, that we are on a testing team, and that has some different tasks which they have to move us to quickly to adapt quickly. And yeah, so the next paragraph, it's important to me that the software I test is safe for patients to use, and I'm proud and satisfied with the work that the team and I have done until now. I'm happy that I got my ICQB Foundation certification. This sums to my professional profile and confirms I own my craft. I'm also proud of taking the challenge of taking more complex automation. And there you're highlighting your achievements, right? So you're assessing what you accomplished in the past months. And then we move on to the future, and what are the areas that we might be that we might want to improve on. So for the next season, I want to put more focus on the technical part. learning more about automation, increasing my knowledge in coding, analysis, and troubleshooting, but also continue working in my soft skills, especially communication, and giving more structure to my thought process. So there, as you can see, I mean, it is not saying that I have to improve on that thing. So it's just continue learning about the different topics that is mentioned there. So in that we're focusing or yeah, covering the last part of the questions that we just mentioned. So the examples are here. Of course, you can find a bunch of different examples out there in the internet. So just feel free. I think we think these are very good ones. So I think we can move on to the next one.
I wanted
Or
also to
comments.
add,
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to add, these are not taken from the internet. These were transformations to self-evaluations from the site. So it is not to us from a specific person, but I kind of rewrote a couple and merged them, but they look similar to this. And these are made by ITJ employees. So you might even say like, whoa, that's advanced English. Yes, there are, and we'll teach you tools next on how to achieve this level of English and also thinking about and making the effort to land and close something like this. All right. Well, I wanted to stop. Any questions? All good. All right. Okay. So let's continue with providing performance feedback. Now comes the second part, second box when you're providing feedback. And well, here as Yoda says, giving feedback, you must learn. And it is something that normally you don't get explained in high school or by managers. It is something difficult and not that available. So obviously what to avoid when giving performance feedback, that is super easy. Just being nice and just being rude, or being aggressive or being sarcastic. That really doesn't help. Putting your comments with these tones will be useless. Again, we're trying to paint a picture of what's happening uh, and trying to stick to the facts, not the judgments. So it's practically getting rid of just judgments. Sticking to appreciation feedback, right? I think this is one of the most common thing I notice when, especially when teams are newly formed, everyone is just saying like, yeah, great job, you're the best, keep on going. This doesn't really help. It's just appreciation. You can still have appreciation in your comments, but don't forget that the most important thing is providing a performance feedback. Okay. Keeping feedback superficial or too general, this also doesn't help. Saying like, oh, you did well, you are following the processes in a good manner, and we're very happy with how you manage meetings in general. Yes, that's not enough. You need to go into detail. Writing your feedback in 2 minutes or less. This is, I think, one of the biggest mistakes. We're all rushing with feedback and works, so you need to spend more time. 2 minutes just writing something fast is not good. Compare against team or teammates. This is also a big mistake. Saying, oh, you're doing less than the or more than the team. It's not helpful. It's better to say how he's compare against his skills or against the expectations, but not to another teammate, for example. The usage of but, the word but negates or cancels everything that goes before it. So it's saying like, oh yeah, you're doing good in meetings, but practically I just cancel what I just said. So a good technique to remove buts is just replace them with ands. And not just the word, but just actually when you try to replace it with and, it will force you to rewrite your evaluation. So here you can see it. Your presentation went great, but we could barely listen to you. Instead, you can say, And I want to let you know we had trouble listening to you. You see, it forced me to change. It makes both statements true. And well, making assumptions or jumping to conclusions. You're trying to paint the reality as best as you can. Next one is what to embrace for performance feedback. Lead with empathy. Try to understand the other person's perspective. Always state your intention when providing feedback. This is also important. Just receiving a lot of things is not. It's sometimes it triggers kind of the personality. We'll be seeing personality triggers in another session. But when you start saying like, I want to provide feedback, and you can start. Actually, it's a good starter when you're writing the comment. It's I want to give you feedback so that you reflect on it and maybe improve and become a better professional. That's my intention, and then you start with your feedback. This is a very good starter. Focus on professional aspects only, right? We don't want to deviate to other topics, maybe family or friends. Focusing on work is the best. Think about the desired goal or outcome after you're giving your feedback. And this is the extra thinking part. It's not just saying, I'll write this all up, but what's your final intention? Are you actually giving or trying to think what will benefit this to that person? So practically, this is pushing you to the coaching part, maybe not just providing feedback, but maybe also pushing you to give a bit coaching, if possible. Make the person more curious about what you're saying in your feedback. So this is very difficult skill, but you can try it out a couple of times and think, what will this person kind of be hooked if I provide him? What will he kind of think or try to explore more if I'm saying something? Leading with curiosity is a very good tool that will improve your feedback providing. Be specific, state context, observations, feelings, impact, consequences, etc. And I listed a lot of things here, but practically is understanding the context. Sometimes you can say you're very good in leading meetings. Example, the third retrospective that we have had as a team. I noticed that you did this, and this. That was super good. I know I was super happy because the team executed this way, and we landed with action items. And that's a good impact because from there on, we started to see the actions being taken seriously by the team and what consequences. This could be positive or negative consequences. So you can see, just thinking of this is helping provide better feedback. Give your feedback freely and be the first if needed. So this is meant that be, take courage. And sometimes it's the first time you'll be providing this snapshot or this truth to that person. So it's okay to be the first person and kind of address the elephant in the room, as it said in English. Use tools to enhance your writing. And this is a very new tool. And I've tried it a couple of times and it's super good. Maybe just with your basic English, you don't need to have advanced English. Write it up in ChatGPT and just say, hey, help me out formalizing the following feedback. And voila, ChatGPT helps you put your English in a higher level. They'll use more specific and better wording for you. Very important, spend more than 10 minutes giving feedback. You really need to think. Put some time. And sometimes, we need to evaluate 10 people. That's 100 minutes. It's a lot of time, but you need to spend the time. If you don't have feedback, say exactly that. I don't have feedback for you, and explain why. This is also curious. This is kind of stating or kind of going against other recommendations, but it's a very good recommendation. Just providing, and this is important also for managers because they'll be reading this. If you give feedback, just, hey, you're doing a good job, thanks, keep going. Just by saying that, the manager will say, well, this person is interacting with that person. But when you say, I don't have feedback because I'm not interacting with you, it's a very good clue that the manager might say, "Oh, I didn't know there's no feedback there. Maybe their collaboration levels is too low. I need to improve it." So this is feedback also for the manager, and it is totally valid to close your feedback like this. Use frameworks that help you better feedback. We'll go into frameworks just in a bit. And finally, use a diplomatic and balanced approach, which ChatGPT is very good at. So yeah, which are good frameworks to give feedback? And I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, so I think the frameworks that we can use for this process, the first one is basically just recommended or by me coach. It is basically stating the same that we just reviewed before. Provide an overview of the assessment, highlight the achievements, and then recommend the areas to develop for. Something that we can use for, I mean, it is something that it is almost given to us on a plate. So we have this radar of skills, right? That is provided depending on the role that we have in Mi Coach. So it's pretty much just you try to base your feedback on the different skills that are listed here, right? So try to provide some comments regarding all of those soft skills that you think that your peer or your manager is good at, or and also highlight the areas that they need to improve in some of those soft skills, and do the same on the hard skills. Just provide some comments that highlights whatever it is good with those hard skills, and provide some comments regarding some areas that need to be improved for certain hard skills. So I think my coach is giving us this reference there in order for us to provide some good feedback. And as that little tip, sir, I mean, it is like, I think that's the most important one, I think. This is, as we know, we're providing feedback for the past 6 months. I mean, it is quite a long time in order to provide for us to provide feedback. So this is a good way to provide feedback at a general level, right? On a high level. And yes. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if someone has a question regarding Mi Coach, someone that is new to the tool or hasn't used it before, or has used it but still has some questions about it. Then the next one, the next framework that we can use. This is a framework that I think it's a little bit more advanced because it requires for us to do, I think, a little bit more thinking by asking a bunch of different questions. And then the answers to those questions will be the feedback that we're going to be providing. So the first one, how do I admire about you? What do you do that works for me? What do you do that doesn't work for me? What I ask of you? What do I offer you? As anyone mentioned also, the last one is just not ending our feedback with some with just the areas that person has to improve, but also provide like an option, provide an option, and then as we also saw before, that will trigger a bunch of different ideas, right? And that's when the improvement really comes forward. And like I said, I mean, we for this framework, we just have to ask ourselves a bunch of different questions. And these are questions that we might ask ourselves in order to provide some feedback. So for example, on the second chart there, what have you excelled at in the last 6 months, which coincidentally is the same period that we're evaluating here? What should you do different and why? What areas should you continue to grow? What other comment would you like to give? So we could answer these questions following the recommendations from the previous slide. And yeah, I think we will get a very good feedback. But like I said, I mean, this is a bit more advanced framework for providing feedback. And the tip for this framework is that it is it is mostly effective when we use this on a relationship that where trust is a must, and when high collaboration is happening there. So we know the other part there, and we really trust ourselves. We can be completely professionals and be really completely objective. And that's when we communicate. We can elaborate more details on our feedbacks. So yeah. And the third one, I think is the feedback wrap. I think we all know this one. Besides the sandwich framework as well. And this feedback is you could find it anywhere. It is included in this video that we showed at the beginning from the sources. And pretty much it says that I think it has a lot in common to the other things that we'll be talking about. So when using this approach, when using this framework, we just have to start with describing the context, right? So where we stand, what are we talking about, what are we going to evaluate, such as like setting the scope of our feedback. Then we're gonna list our observations. We're gonna provide some emotions. I mean, how do we feel about something that we happen, either good or bad? Then we're gonna list the impact of those actions. What was the impact for the team? What was the impact for the project? And at the end, as we said, I mean, not only pointing out the good and bad, but also but ending with suggestions and agreements. Like, please feel free to contact me for any questions that you might have regarding, I don't know, developing something, or about testing or creating new test cases based on requirements, something like that. I mean, you're providing like already starting the wheel turning to address those issues that you provided there in your feedback, or not the issues, the improvement areas that you want to address. And yeah,
And
I
I
think
think we have some time just to play the video. It's, I think, 5 minutes.
okay.
I don't know. Yeah, we're one slide from finishing.
Do you know the praise sandwich?
Let me know
Compliment,
what's a good
criticism,
volume.
compliment. Forget it. Doesn't work. Hi, my name is Jurgen Appelo, a Management 3.0 thinker and practitioner. Let me tell you a story. I once had to offer constructive feedback to an organizer of my workshops in another country. The organizer had not responded to several emails, and this annoyed me a bit. I need fast and easy communication with my business partners without being required to make phone calls all the time. So, what could I do? The practice of the praise sandwich says, offer the criticism between two compliments. Hey guys, it's great working with you. However, you need to improve your communication skills. But everything else is wonderful. That doesn't work. Some people say that novices like getting a praise sandwich from their managers because they often feel insecure in their job, and a praise sandwich gives them two compliments. Professionals, on the other hand, dislike this practice because they appreciate honest, constructive feedback, and they don't want it offered among the noise of too insincere compliments. So, what can we do instead? I prefer applying the feedback wrap when I need to offer constructive feedback. This is what I wrote to the event organizer. Step 1. Describe your context. Hey guys, I am at home checking my upcoming workshops. It's a lot of work. I hope I have all the details right. Step 2. List your observations. I noticed that I've not received replies to several emails. I'm still waiting for an answer to these questions. Step 3. Express your emotions. I now feel anxious about my workshop with you and sad that our communication doesn't seem to work that well. Step 4. Explain the value. What I hope to get is certainty about the workshop so that I can book my flight. The travel costs may go up soon. Step 5. End with suggestions. Can I do something to speed up the process? Let me know what data you need from me. It was an honest and respectful message. Within 2 hours, all my previous questions were answered. The feedback wrap succeeds where the praise sandwich fails, because it does not distinguish between positive versus negative feedback. There is only feedback about facts and feelings. It is good to let people know what you noticed and how you felt about that. Both the observations and feelings can be either positive or negative, but that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you make the other person aware of the impact of their actions. The impact could be better or worse than expected. But whatever it is, you let them figure out what to do next. Now, why don't you try this yourself? As a manager, you can use the 5 steps of the feedback wrap to give anyone in your organization respectful, constructive feedback. This is particularly important with remote teams. Thanks to the trends of flex time, remote working, and distributed teams, people often don't see each other in an office anymore. But feedback must be given, and now is better than later. The 5 simple steps of the feedback wrap make it much easier for you to offer your input in an email, a chat window, or over a phone or Skype call. If there is some behavior or result that needs attention, better address it now. That's how I deal with feedback. Remember, the praise sandwich doesn't work, but the feedback wrap does.
And as you can see here, after playing the video, I think this framework is not only focused on scenarios where we have to provide feedback. So we can try to put it into or incorporate it into our daily life and to make it as part of our communication on a daily basis. And basically as it stays there. It is precise, it is transparent. So we are addressing what might be an issue, but with a professional, with a diplomatic way, but we're addressing an issue there, but in a very I think I really like this one because it is really direct. And yeah.
All right. And well, to finish the session, we'll go to the last part. And here's just 2 examples of the 2 methods used. I normally recommend or say that when you're giving feedback more often, then your performance evaluation comes with very few surprises or very few blind spots, because the more feedback the members are providing to each other, it's easier to act on them. And sometimes, and I start to see this, that the performance evaluations practically are just a summary of the actions that you have taken from the feedback that was provided in the past, where you're hearing things like, hey, yeah, I like that you are now an expert on CI/CD. I think it was great that you took my feedback in the past, because, and it's just complimenting or stating the good things and the positive progress that you've been doing. And yeah, there's very few space or very the performance feedback starts to be smaller because you've been addressing it constantly. So well, I'll just read through this very fast. What does good performance feedback look like? Here we fill the gift feedback technique. What do I admire about you? Your consistency demonstrating a remarkable commitment to the team, always willing to take on the biggest risks and responsibilities. What do you want do what you do that works for me? I think your great eye for details, being able to quickly spot mistakes or improvements in pull requests and protocols, that you extended the skill to other areas like process documentations and quality makes the whole team successful. What do you do that doesn't work for me? Whenever you take days off, you skip coordinating with us, which makes it very difficult to pick up on your work. What I ask of you, be more open to peer programming or shadowing sessions with us. This will help reduce knowledge gaps, specifically for those difficult tasks you like to take on. And what do I offer you? You know you are starting on your first steps to CI/CD. I can help you out with the basics on how to the current integration works. So you can see this is a lot better than just saying, hey, yeah, you're great working with things, don't change. And feedback wrap, again, it is a difficult tool. It takes more time. Maybe you'll create 5, maybe 10 if you're very good. Again, it can be daunting if you try this every 6 months. So it's better to give feedback wraps during the year and then in feedback evaluation, just summarizing or going back to your past feedback wraps and then confirming if the person did something about it. Here's one example, right? During the past 2 releases, we have worked together. I notice your attention is laser focused on release management. You are mostly addressing priorities and requests with increasing pressure. My perspective is that you are losing focus on some important or risky tasks, letting some slip through. For example, when the incorrect OS version was used for alerts testing. I felt anxious and surprised when I noticed some of these faults and your increasing tendency to make mistakes when you stick to the big picture. Having a balance between the big picture and the detailed work during your day will help you reduce mistakes, especially the critical ones. This will reduce rework and keep the release in a better schedule. Maybe you could try sharing the release management effort with another member or set a schedule that forces you to change focus during the day. And yeah, I think that's it from our end. We're now kind of opening for questions and answers. Maybe someone wants to share. Was this helpful for you?
Yeah,
Um,
I would like to add to what you just to everything. Well, first of all, thank you both for this content. Content it is really good. It's really helpful, and also I think that what we also need to have in our minds whenever we are receiving and giving feedback is that this is not personal in terms of trying to make people feel bad, because I know when people is new either on the company or new because they have not been in other companies, it's their first job experience, receiving feedback maybe is not that easy at the first time, but with these kind of presentations and explanations, we can spread that message that this is not about you as a being, as a human being, but for your for best path career or in a best way to help people to improve professionally speaking. So thanks.
yes,
I think it's because when you, as you said, depending on the wording that you use, if it's focused very, or not technically, but very objectively, then that way people can say, okay, this is for my mind to think, but not for my heart to feel bad. It's just for my mind to think that I still can feel good, even if people is saying, okay, you need to improve this, instead of saying you're not doing good, right? We want to help you improve because we know you have the ability to do it. Things like that. Okay, but thanks so much. I just wanted to add to that.
Thank you, Citlali. Sure, happy to. Yeah, Illich, go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. First, as Citlali said, great presentation, great job. I think this is very helpful. Thank you for putting all together. And what I want to add is you mentioned it several times during your presentation is that we need to encourage our people to share feedback that is useful, right? So it is very, very important when you are writing a feedback for anyone that is asking you to do that, to think about how can I actually help this person to grow. And this usually comes to some, let's say, non-positive aspects, and it is hard to express that right in a feedback. So think about when you're sharing a feedback, you're not sabotaging anyone. You're not sabotaging, like, the professional growth of this person in the company. The opposite, you are actually giving actions or maybe suggestions for this person to take actions, maybe some trainings, maybe do things differently, so this person can grow. So I know it happens to me. It's not easy to share, like, I think you could improve in this or that. But if you do that, I mean, you are really helping your peer or whoever you're assessing, right? So think about that. And again, great presentation, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I really think that there's a tendency that we have a tendency of associating feedback with something negative. But as Danny presented, I mean, there are three types of feedback, right? It's appreciative, and it doesn't have to be always focused on the negative part of everything. So there's always something positive out of it. And as Illich mentioned, the feedback, that's the only way, that's the only mechanism that we can use in order to improve ourselves. And it happens here. I also want to point out again, I mean, I think I always make this comment with my team. We can use this feedback not only, we can provide feedback not only when every 6 months, right? Not every time that there's a bonus involved there, or there's something there, a promotion. We can use this almost on a weekly basis,
Or daily,
maybe
or even daily.
daily or
Yeah.
bi-weekly. Something really important in our teams is the retrospective meetings. So that's where change can, where we can see some changes in all the processes that we follow, in all the things that we know that work or do not work. That's when we can make this kind of feedback, right? And we can use some of these techniques and provide feedback during our retrospective meetings. And for sure, and I assure you that we will see that things improve, because if we don't say anything, as one of the things that Danny mentioned there, someone has to be the first one eventually to address the elephant in the room. So otherwise, for sure, nothing will change. So we want change to happen, or we want to always keep complaining about things that are not working. So we have to provide some feedback. We have to raise our hands on that. So be sure to do that in a diplomatic, in a professional way, in a respectful way, and I assure you that things will improve for sure.
Can I add something also? Also to share with the team members is that don't be afraid of giving feedback to your top management, because we have talked about giving feedback to peers, but sometimes people is afraid of really saying what might be wrong, quotation marks, or what needs to be improved from the manager. And I think it's important to make team members feel that they are free and there won't be any bad impact on their career or on their daily work if they provide feedback, even if it is not what the manager might be expecting, quotation marks. Okay,
And
just mhm.
yeah, and I want to kind of to close. This is also important. The comments that you put, and this is something that is kind of in between, won't be read by the direct person. So the managers take in and retransform everything to keep anonymity. So I'll quote the book that we shared here at the beginning called Thanks for the Feedback. And it is that, and it kind of, I really like the book. I don't know why it's doing that. 1 sec. The Zoom got stuck. There you go. In this book, they say it is impossible to teach everyone how to give feedback, which this session was about. So they push a lot on being curious on feedback and asking when that's easier to teach people how to explore feedback. And to your point, Lali, yes, it kind of are, you might feel, and this is the important, like this is the in-between. Right now it's like, oh, I can give feedback to my manager, but that's scary because he'll eventually know or something. So anonymity or being anonymous will help you or helps people be a bit more open. But from my perspective is that's counterproductive because that removes the ability to explore feedback because you don't know from which person this came. So what I
Correct.
see, that kind of what I normally push with my teams is using these tools will help you increase your maturity on how to provide feedback correctly. And thus, you start to remove the anonymity. Shit, I don't know how to say the word, but the anonymous part.
The anonymous part.
And yeah, and then practicing it more often directly makes it easier to explore feedback. And we'll do a
Great.
second session. And here's the sections. The sections are at the moment hidden. I don't know, this is going crazy. But practically, yeah, removing feedback blockers. So it's practically when you're reading feedback, how to remove triggers that block you from understanding or working with your feedback. There's this other part. Let me click the. I don't know what's happening with my mouse today. It's here. Next one is exploring feedback. So tips how to read through feedback and then how to take action on your feedback. So that's another session, but wanted to let you guys
Great.
know that this is coming later when we all kind of finishing the first loop of the feedback where your managers are engaging with you and the feedback that they're providing.
Looking forward for that session.
Thank
Sure,
you.
happy to.
Well,
Thank you guys. Well, that's
thank
it.
you all.
I'll stop the video.
Thank you all and have a nice rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Share your
you.
feedback.
Thank
Thank you.
you.